Hey guys, welcome to Jay Speak. This week we talk about Telecasters. Finally. So I've been kind of dropping hints about this for a while. I keep getting asked questions about Telecasters because you've noticed quite a few new ones around the studio. And why all of a sudden? Take it way back, I used to play drums, the guitar player in the band, whereas I love the guitar player and I loved his guitar playing. He played a single coil Telecaster and I just didn't like it for a trio rock band. To me, it just didn't work when it's a lot of heavy rhythm stuff. I didn't like the guitar for that. Kind of silly, after all these years, I've ended up with a few single coil Telecasters that I really like. To me, they're not the be-all, end-all. I still want the humbucker sound that you don't get from a single coil. I just never played them for all those years. That kind of scarred me for years. And I would just look at them, and every once in a while I'd sit down with one, and I liked the way it played. When I sat down with it, I enjoyed it. I did not like when I plugged it in. But over the years, I've either borrowed some Telecasters to review on the channel or compare to something, and over time, I began to really like them. It wasn't until I stumbled across a 72 thin line and wide range humbuckers. I thought it sounded great with the orange amps, and it was like, oh, dude, I like that guitar. So then I've got the 72 Deluxe, and then I got a Chris Shiflett, and I kind of expanded in the Mexican-made guitars by Fender. I thought they were really good, but then I got an American Professional Deluxe, my Sonic Gray one, and I loved that. And it was like, wow, I really like this guitar. So then I got into the Fender American stuff, and I bought a couple, and I didn't really like the single coil American Professional. I went through a couple of the Deluxes, just playing them, borrowing them. They didn't really do it for me beyond that one guitar, so I don't know if that just one guitar spoke to me. I really like that one. Fast forward, I got one Friedman guitar, which is the one that hangs in the back with the P90s, and I loved it. It feels so good. So then it was like a big dilemma, because I really like my Gibson guitars, and I found that, you know what, I like the way a Telecaster sat versus a Les Paul, and to me, it's a matter of it being more forward or more backward on your leg. And then when you're standing, obviously, Les Pauls they're heavier than a Telecaster. And it's kind of weird because, you know, Gibson has its thing and Fender has its thing, and they all have their thing. I just preferred Gibson guitars for years, out of everything else. Played Reverend and some other brands, and I dug those too. The Supros were cool, but I would always come back to Gibson. When I started playing Friedmans, it was like, wow, I need a few more of these. So I got a single coil one, then I got the Vintage T HH, that's like that Shoreline Gold, which kind of looked like my Chris Shiflett, that I ended up getting a Chris Shiflett Tele again. I had the white one before, and then I got a gold one. I took all the electronics out and I replaced it with other stuff, and I think it sounds better. I got that one. It was like, oh, I really want to try a guitar. So I got an Alt T Pro with Thornbuckers. Dude, that guitar's awesome too. Then I picked up an older 2010 American Standard that has 51 no-caster pickups. Awesome guitar. Single coils, and then it's a 4-way wire, so I can run the pickups in and out of phase, which is awesome too. And then I got the Pro Tele Deluxe Friedman. Like, what am I, like 7 or 8 guitars, 9 guitars maybe deep in Telecasters now? And it was a guitar that I wrote off so many years ago. We're talking like 20 years ago. It was just like, nah, I don't want any part of that. To totally appreciating them and working the tone knob, working the volume knobs, and just more educated on where I think they sit with my playing. It's just been an interesting journey where now I look around the room and I have more Telecasters than anything. And I got really into Les Pauls at one time, and I got really into 335s, and I've whittled those down. So will I probably whittle down the Telecasters at some point? Yeah, maybe, you know. Right now, I'm enjoying it so much. It's like the Suhr, the Fender, and the Friedman Telecasters are just different. And then you've got a difference between like the Mexican-made Telecaster to the American. And I don't have any of the MIJs, the made in Japan Telecasters. I've heard the quality's really good. I'm looking at like Telecasters all the time. I'm like, there's a problem. Where it's fun and it's enjoyable, it becomes a chore sometimes, but I think I found a guitar that I really like. I really like the way they sit. I really love the way they feel. So yeah, Telecasters are awesome. They can be used from anything from pop, rock, metal, country. They work for everything. Most things do. Most 335s, Les Pauls, Stratocasters. If you like a guitar and you invest some time into it, and different techniques and things like that, you can make it work for anything. So don't write off a guitar because it doesn't sound the way you want, maybe work at the sound a little bit. Now, it's taken years and years for me to be comfortable with a Telecaster. It's just the way things have progressed. I prefer a Telecaster to a Les Paul, and that's where I am in life, and I think I'm okay with that. I think over time I just became more comfortable playing a Telecaster, and I liked that the thickness was X amount, and then Les Paul is just heavier, but I love like the carved top look. So like some Telecasters look really cool and some Les Pauls look really cool, and they're obviously like the same basic kind of thing when you think about it as far as style and cut. And at like the end of the day, after all those years of ignoring the guitar, it's my go-to now. And that just blows my mind, to be honest with you. Just blows my mind that that I ignored a model for so long. It's like with a 335, I didn't play one because I was afraid that I was going to love it so much that I would need all of them. And that's exactly what happened. Finally tried a 335. It was like I found the guitar that I always wanted. But I didn't try it because I was scared. I didn't play a Telecaster because I didn't like the way one experience went with another guitar player. And that's the funny thing about guitars, is that take a guitar and I hand it to somebody else, it sounds different. So when you get into cost with the Telecasters, is a Mexican-made, Japanese-made, American-made the best one to get? What I find is the difference is like the neck. The neck tells the story. So if it feels good with the neck, great. I don't like the vintage saddle as much as I like the elite style bridges on the Telecasters when you're talking like Fender, but it does bleed over into the Friedmans too and the Suhrs, where the bridges are just different, the ashtrays and how everything's put together. I like the ones that aren't going to cut my hand up. Again, that's something that you just learn over time. Is you like that style, you prefer that style. If it kind of feels cheap in your hand, where the knobs or the pick guards, like differences in how guitars are made, and it's maybe not necessarily limited to country with a company, it's just the company in general. But I don't think the American ones are super superior to the Mexican or Japanese made Telecasters at this point. I think they're all good solid builds. It's just what piece of wood is it? And what's the neck shape and those types of things, and did they use decent electronics in it? So as far as guitars, I'd like to check out, other than the three mentioned brands that I have, I'd like to try the Fano, the TC6 model. I think that looks really cool, and just Fano guitars in general, I'd really love to give a go. The Portlander guitars, I would definitely like to check them out by Veritas. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, forgive me, correct me. Nash Teles I'd like to check out too. So it's not just limited to Fenders, the Suhrs, and the Friedmans. I think I just really like the Friedmans and the Suhrs, how they feel. I think those other builds would be quite similar to what I'd be into at this point. So I would definitely check those out. Is there any guitar out there, was it a Telecaster, Les Paul, 335, Ibanez, whatever, doesn't matter, that you kind of ignored for a long time that you dig now? Is there anything like that? It's kind of interesting. Little look into my world with the Telecasters and going through like the collection of the ones I have right now. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I hope you're staying safe out there. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Many more videos to come. Don't miss one sub.